75-year-old Uncle Jim Davis says he'd rather be out working than living here in a rent-subsidized apartment house for the elderly and handicapped. But he suffers dizziness from a chronic stomach disorder. Yet he's not too frail or afraid, as he says some of his fellow tenants are, to complain when the resident management fails to do its job. It seems mice started infesting his apartment in December.
I just borrowed a trap from a man. I said, I caught 3 of them. And I said, they constantly keep coming. And I bought decon until I got broke. And they ate it and it didn't do them any good.
When the resident manager, Ms. Turner, told Uncle Jim the unfriendly rodents were his problem, he contacted a friend at the Baltimore Urban League. They, in turn, wrote to contact too. We didn't think that Mr. Davis should be responsible for stopping the rodent infestation, but we double-checked with experts in landlord-tenant relations.
It is the management's responsibility or the landlord in a multi-family unit. If it's a single-family unit, then the tenant is responsible.
Armed with this ammunition, we went back to Ms. Turner's boss, Gloria Richardson. She said that Ms. Turner had simply made a mistake. She said that, of course, the rodents were the management's responsibility and that they would be taken care of immediately. And the anti-mice carpentry and extermination were taken care of a few hours after our last phone call to the building manager.
The only time I got into action on this was through Miss Monroe and Contact 2. That's the only time I got a follow-up on it. And believe me, it was fast. And I really appreciate it.
Oh, taking a rough guesstimate, we estimate that there are over 500,000 rats in Baltimore City.
How big can they get?
They can get up to about 1 pound or 1.5 pounds in weight, and they grow up to 18 inches from the tip of their tail to their nose.
Now, a lot of the problems concern trash in backyards.
That's correct. Trash is a leading cause of heavy infestation. And one thing our inspectors do when they go to blocks is to issue notices and talk to residents, asking them to get the proper receptacles.
These are actors from Theater Project acting out an original skit, which includes singing and dancing, that makes children aware of a very serious problem, rats, in a very entertaining way. Magical things are tried to get rid of rats, but the children find out from Dr. Rat that the only way to rid their neighborhoods of the pesky, dangerous creatures is to rid the neighborhoods of trash.
We can get our friends, our family, and our neighbors to join in this fight. Now look. There's a lot of things we can do, but the only way to get rid of rats is you. That's the only way we can rub out rats in Baltimore.
The Department of Housing and Community Development contracted Theater Project to write and present this play, and it will be given to 4th and 5th graders in every school in Baltimore before this school year is out. And it is effective. The message does get across to the audience.
Get rid of the rats. Defeat.
And how do you do that?
By cleaning up by the rats and put the trash in metal trash cans.
So if you see somebody in your neighborhood give you this sign, it means they're a member of the Rat Patrol, officially designated to get rid of rats in Baltimore. So determined by the Theater Project. I'm Susan White Bowden on the scene.
It's surprising how many homeowners apparently don't realize that they, not the city, are responsible for the cleanliness of alleys bordering their property. And this includes ridding your own backyard of rats, according to Donna Johnson, who heads the city's rat rub-out program.
Residents are responsible for eliminating rats in their own yards in a single-family house, the owner in a dwelling with 2 or more units.
Mrs. Johnson also points out that budget cutbacks, principally federal funding, actually allow rat rub-out greater flexibility in meeting citywide rat problems.
Our funding no longer comes directly from the federal government, so we're no longer under the federal guidelines that kept us to target areas. Our operation is now citywide. We have a much greater area to cover in terms of education, but we work more with groups and help them develop the skills to work with their neighbors to fight the rat problems.
The thrust of rat rub-out, however, is not as much planting poison as it is planting common sense in the heads of residents who clutter their backyards or who use inadequate garbage containers.
The stuff here in this corner should be moved also.
Right.
Anything that's garbage, if you can't get it moved away, then it should be raised up off the ground at least 18 inches, especially if it's tars.
So the problem in rat control, in community sanitation, just as in how clean our city is going to be, now depends more on city residents than on city government. Ed Hanrahan, News Scene 2.
East Baltimore residents who live a minute or so away from the Maryland Penitentiary say they really aren't worried about incidents such as yesterday's escape attempt or any other disturbances. For them, they say, the correctional facilities are just another part of their neighborhood.
We've been here approximately 28 years, you know, and I've never been afraid to come home or anything, and my parents are still here, but I'm not living here right now. But I'm back and forth every day, and we have never been afraid. No one has given us a reason to be, you know, and I'm still not afraid.
When the breakouts come, the escapees, they go the other way, you know. We never had none to run in our homes and all.
Gwen's family and others in the area say the prison is just part of the landscape. They can look through their windows and see bars, guards, and occasionally inmates peeking out, but they say they don't feel threatened. Mrs. Estelle Barnes, who has a luncheonette across the street from the penitentiary, says her business is not affected by the lockup facility.